I told you guys we're going to be interviewing some future Michigan men. First one we have up is Aidan Hutchinson, strong side defensive end. So let's go ahead and take it away.
We now welcome in four-star defensive end, top 100 player nationally, and the #1 senior in the state of Michigan, Aidan Hutchinson. Aidan, how are you doing today? Thanks so much for coming on.
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Let's start first by talking about your family. Aidan, your dad was an All-American and an All-Big Ten player at Michigan. Were you raised a die-hard Michigan fan? And what was your first Michigan football memory?
Yeah, I've always been going to the Michigan football games. We've had season tickets for probably about 20 years now, and yeah, I was raised in this Michigan atmosphere, so I've been around Michigan and all the coaches all my life, so I feel very comfortable with my decision.
All right, so you were offered a scholarship in early 2016, committed in early 2017 in Jim Harbaugh's office. What in that year between the offer and the commitment, did you look at other schools? Did you ever consider going anywhere else but Michigan?
Yeah, I was looking at Notre Dame, Wisconsin, Penn State, Ohio State, a bunch of other Big Ten schools, and I realized after all those visits, I was just comparing those schools to Michigan, and none of them really compared to the academics and athletics of university.
So almost a year ago, you committed to Coach Jim Harbaugh in his office, and I want to know, what was the reaction from Jim Harbaugh himself, the coaching staff, anyone was in the room when you committed, and then how did you celebrate the moment with your family? I understand your parents, both Michigan grads, obviously dad, but mom as well.
Yeah, we were in his office. It was Coach Harbaugh, Coach Madison, then my family, and I said I was committing, and they all started cheering and stuff, and I walked out in the hall, and I was talking to all the assistant coaches, and it was almost a little parade. Everyone was clapping. It was pretty cool. It was definitely an unforgettable experience.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, want to talk a little about the Army All-American game. So, you played in the game. You got the invites last summer, last fall. Played in the game just in the past few weeks, and we heard a lot of good things about you. One of the standouts in the game, 2.5 sacks in that. And after that, you saw your recruiting rankings, go from outside the top 100 to inside the top 100. Really shot up those rankings according to most services. Tell us about the game, what you felt, how you played, and then just about the experience in San Antonio in general.
I just went in there, not many expectations. I was gonna put my head down and grind, and I think I did that. I think I proved myself to all the doubters out there who have doubted me throughout this process. And I think I kind of showed myself at the Army All-American game, and it was overall an amazing experience. We went from like practicing to volunteering at children's hospitals. It was great.
Yeah. So speaking of All-Americans, a couple potential All-Americans on the Michigan defensive line next year. You've got Rashawn Gary, you've got Chase Winovich coming back for a 5th year. As a defensive lineman, what do you expect to learn from those guys, hope to take away from them in the 1, potentially 2 years with Rashawn that you will be their teammates?
Yeah, it's amazing having Chase and Rashawn back because of their senior and then junior leadership. I can't wait to learn from them and all that they're going to teach me. I think it's going to be an amazing experience learning from 2 of the best defensive ends in history, and I think this is one of the best times.
And Aidan, you got to play tight end for the first time this season, scoring 8 touchdowns as well. Any thoughts on playing offense in college?
I wouldn't be opposed. I'm just whatever Coach Harbaugh says is what I'm doing.
And last question, we know your father became a doctor following his football career. Any thoughts on following in his footsteps? And if not, what do you plan on majoring in at Michigan?
Yeah, I plan on majoring in kinesiology. So right now I'm on the same path as him, but I don't know if I'm into all the bloody stuff with the doctor. So I'm thinking about being a doctor, dealing with muscles or something like that. That's what I'm interested in.
I feel you on that one. Well, Aidan Hutchinson, defensive end, top 100 national player, headed to Michigan to play with Jim Harbaugh. Get used to hearing that name on Saturdays. Thanks so much for joining us, Aidan, and best of luck to you.
Thanks for having me.
That was our very own Jordan Giorgio and James Yoder sitting down with Aidan Hutchinson for our National Signing Day special. We'll be having that next Wednesday, February 7th. You don't want to miss it. We have tons of interviews and a couple features we will also have on that special. But James, talk about some takeaways you had with the interview with Aidan.
Well, I just I feel that he told us a little about the Army All-American game and so how well he played there. We talked about it in the last few shows that he skyrocketed up the rankings. So that was an interesting takeaway. I also thought it was just pretty cool that he grew up a Michigan fan. Obviously, his dad's there. I didn't know till recently his mom went there, but I guess that kind of makes sense. His dad's a doctor too. It's something we learned through this process, which is cool. He plays All-American level, all Big Ten level, goes on, becomes a doctor. I looked him up on the internet. He's worked at a few different places, but most recently, I believe, a emergency room doctor as well.
Oh, wow. What a
pretty
stud.
Cool stuff. So expect him, if it doesn't work out in football, for Aidan Hutchinson, maybe a fall in his dad's footsteps and be super successful in the business or medical, whatever profession he decides to go into.
Aidan Hutchinson, the #1 recruit coming out of the state of Michigan.